Jupiter is the higher mind. Jupiter is a top-down teacher, meaning that Jupiter tells you and communicates to you that life is already complete. That is Jupiter's primary teaching. Now, paradoxically, Mercury, or the physical mind, is simply just trying to make life complete. So the higher mind is saying, life is already complete, you are already complete. The physical mind is doing everything it can to try to make life complete, make itself complete. But neither one of them is asking the question, what does completeness or wholeness actually mean? Jupiter's just saying, it's all God, it's all complete. Like, this is like non-duality. Nothing is happening. And Mercury is saying, no, obviously a lot is happening, and we gotta do a lot of stuff to build it up so it's complete. And they're both right. Jupiter is like Zeus, like daddy in the sky, just like remember Zeus in Hercules? If you grew up watching that, like, he's just like, oh, my boy, and he's just like happy-go-lucky. He's just like the king in the sky that's just like having a good time. That's Jupiter. Mercury is like, oh, there's the physical world. We get to figure stuff out. We get to build stuff. We get to compare information. So Mercury kind of likes the fact that the world is seemingly incomplete so it can complete it. And Jupiter really doesn't like the fact that the world is seemingly incomplete because it knows that everything is whole and complete as it is. Now, the reason Chiron is the most powerful teacher in the zodiac is because Chiron is the only one questioning, what the hell are you talking about when you say completeness? What do you mean by complete? Because if we're just talking about the surface, like, yeah, if I lose my pinky finger, I'm technically no longer complete. But does that make me, what I truly am, incomplete? So Chiron is directly confronting the definition of completeness. So just a quick astronomy lesson. Chiron was discovered because its proximity to the sun created it to off-gas, and that off-gassing made an atmosphere which made it visible. I just realized I've been zooming in this whole video. So Chiron originally was really far outside of the solar system in the Kuiper belt, which is like this ring of rock and ice that is at the furthest reaches of the solar system. When it got closer to the sun, it started melting some of that ice, which caused it to have that atmosphere, caused it to off-gas, caused it to allow us to see it. So Chiron is chilling in this sterile environment in the deep space, frozen and complete. It's living a good life. It doesn't need any drama. But the only problem with being in isolation, even though you're complete and you're whole physically, is that nobody can see you. You're invisible. It was only when Chiron felt this pull towards the solar system, towards the sun, towards Leo, towards humanity, did it start to off-gas and eventually lose like a lot of its mass. But in exchange for, on the surface, appearing less whole, it gets to be seen because as it off-gasses, we can see it now. So it had to trade disintegration for visibility. If we look at the centaur symbol of Chiron, the centaur has 4 hooves, 4 feet, firmly planted in the muck, in the dirt of Earth, of reality, of humanity. But it's a centaur, it's an archer, it's Sagittarius. And so what is it doing? It has a straight shot upward. So it represents being firmly in the muck, in the density of physical reality, but still having the wherewithal to have a higher ideal. It essentially is like Christ consciousness. I'm not religious, but it represents like Christ on the cross, crucified, and still saying, forgive them for they not know what they do. So Chiron is the closer you get to your humanity, to your human self, to the messiness, to the incompleteness or the seeming incompleteness, the more you actually off-gas, the more you become less massive in a sense, in an identity type of way. So in other words, Chiron is disintegrating as the closer it gets to the sun, but the gas and the ice that's off-gassing is integrating into the system, into the solar system. So Chiron is saying whatever disintegrates is the substance that is integrating. So in a sense, disintegration is the process of integration. So wherever Chiron is in your chart, that's where you're meant to fully go into humanity. That's where you're fully meant to let humanity strip you of everything that is going to inevitably integrate you with humanity. So Chiron is like the growing pains of being in density, in physical incarnation. And wherever it is in your chart, that's like the theme of where you're like, oh God, like life is so, like earthly density is so intense, like fuck. But it's the same area where you're like, okay, I'm willing to be here. I'm willing to be in the density, in the muck of humanity, because I know what's possible. So when Chiron asks the question, what is completeness? What is wholeness? The reason that's such a profound question is because Chiron is asking, what are we talking about when we say, I am whole? Like, what is I, first of all? So Chiron ultimately is the reason I say it's the most powerful spiritual teacher or the best teacher is because it's literally confronting the whole definition of self. Is it even possible for the self to be incomplete? What is the self? Chiron was like a master of medicine and metaphysics, when he was just living his happy life by himself, frozen in the sterile Kuiper belt. But the moment he decided to mingle with humanity is when he gets shot with that poisonous arrow and he's immortal. So he's basically just living out the rest of his immortal life in like being poisoned in pain. And that experience of basically eternal poisoning directly confronts what is being poisoned, what is the self. I also want to point out that typically the most powerful archetypes in the zodiac are the smallest bodies. For example, Pluto, Chiron. It's because the greatest power comes with the gentlest touch. So the greatest transformation in your life will actually happen in the most seamless way. In the greatest disintegration, therefore integration in your life will happen without you even noticing it. It'll just, the parts of you that need to integrate will just naturally off-gas the more you come in contact with your humanity. So Chiron is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is essentially at the very, it's the fire sign at the very end. It's the last fire sign essentially. So it's saying in order to fully become spiritually realized, I need to go back into humanity. I need to go back towards the sun. Chiron was the furthest away in its orbit, 2021 during COVID, and it'll be the closest to us during 2040. So essentially 2021 was like us rejecting our humanity the most, right? Living in isolation. Around 2040 is when we're going to start integrating back into our true human selves.